supposed to be working today, but we're so busy I've had to come in. It was my wedding anniversary, so I was supposed to have the week off doing lots of different lovely things, but I'm having to come in today as the work is starting to pile up. So the work I'm doing, Bailey was supposed to be doing today, but I've put him back on finishing off a second fix for a bathroom, so he's over there doing that. And today we're going to be servicing a few boilers and doing a landlord's gas safety check. So should be quite a nice, pleasant day. So it's, what time is it? It is 8:10 in the morning. Bit of a late start, to be honest with you. Normally out the door and at work on site by now, but the first gas safety is literally around the corner from my house. So what I'm doing at the moment is I'm just looking at Google Calendar. So we use this a lot to plan all our jobs. This gets sent to Bailey's work phone so we can see exactly where he's going to be as well. So I'll just show you what it looks like if you're unaware. So I'm not sure how well this is going to come out on camera, but it's pretty much just a standard calendar, but you can click on each box. So for example, if I just click up here, and then you can add obviously all your times, dates, locations, etc. It's totally free, this software. You can just get it through Google. We're not actually that free. I'm just showing you an example because the diary we've actually got is full of addresses and everything. Okay, so just before I leave, I just want to show you what turned up yesterday. So we've got this bad boy, a Metabo dust extractor, which will connect onto my chaser. So I've always put off buying the actual extractor for the chaser just because it was so expensive, but lo and behold, my other one's giving up the go, so I've gone for the proper kit this time. So hopefully it's as good as everybody says it is. I know the chaser's brilliant, we use that all the time. So the only thing is, it looks massive, box is huge. So anyway, right, let's get out the door. Okay, so we're into the van now, and I've just remembered yesterday I sorted out all the tools in the back of the van in preparation for today, but all the odds and sods I've literally just chucked on the passenger seat next to me, so looks like a right old mess. So I had a bit of a nightmare yesterday. I had a puncture and the locking nut key for my Ford Transit Custom rounded off down at the garage, so I had to go all the way over to Ford to get that sorted. They only had one master key. Was very reluctant to use it until I started whinging quite a bit, and finally managed to get it off. So I just had them all taken off. So if anyone's got a Transit Custom from like 2019, those lock and wheel nut keys are absolutely terrible. So if I was you, I would have them all removed and have different ones put on, which is what I'd done eventually. So I had a new gas safe card turned up today, re-registered. So when I do gas safeties, landlord's checks, probably the only time that I put my lanyard on, my gas safe key, and also the analyzer's fresh back from Kane. So yeah, let's head to the first job. It's just around the corner. Okay, so first job of the day, we've got a fairly new Worcester. Bailey was here last year, so I've no doubt I'll be absolutely fine. This is just a landlord's gas safety check, so no boiler service, and shout out to Navian for giving us this fancy work mat. So yeah, let's get it apart. Okay, so one of the first things I've noticed is the clearance between the bottom of the boiler and the worktop. That probably is not enough, so the manufacturer's instructions are here, so I'll double check that. That'll only really make it not to current standards, which most of us gas engineers know is pretty much done away with, but I still like to note it down. One good sign is carbon monoxide alarm. Obviously not in the right position, but it's good to see it. And just trying to get these screws undone because they are very tight, but just got them loose, so yeah, let's get this off now. Right, second issue, the boiler is on a plug, so I understand sometimes when we're installing them we have to chuck them in a fly lead, but this one's never been put back onto a fuse spur. There are a few spurs there, but that one's off, so that can't be the right one, so I'm just going to follow this lead back and get a boiler isolator before I actually work on it. Okay, so I've just taken the service and maintenance panel off the front of the heat exchanger. Now, although this isn't technically a boiler service, but the main reason I do that is because quite often these can actually leak. So I've had a few of these now where this heat exchanger is leaking, going straight down into the condense trap. So I just want to make sure there's no leaks. Sometimes you get signs of like scale or like debris like running down, and then you can just check. You can't really see in this light, but you can check through here, make sure you've got no dripping coming down. Yeah, let me know if any of you guys have had that. Okay, so I pretty much decided that I am going to just service this boiler. So I've just noticed that the condense trap's got quite a little bit of muck in it. So what I'm doing is, it's so low to the floor, I can't really put a bucket or anything underneath. So I'm just going to put a black bag, catch the water, make sure it obviously doesn't go onto the electrics of the PCB, give that a quick clean, and then yeah, I might as well just get this fully stripped down while I'm here. Okay, so I'm just doing my maximum and minimum combustion analyzer checks now. I'm doing this with the boiler cover off at the moment because I've stripped the boiler down just to make sure everything's okay. So it's all looking fine. We're actually running on minimum, so it's starting to drop now. I've done that just by using this performance mode button here, so you can hold this for 10 seconds. Obviously checking your fan pressure as well. But so far so good. Okay, so we're now moving on to the gas tightness, let-by tests, operating pressure, if that's what you want to call it. Obviously we're just doing our basic checks, so we're making sure that the emergency control valve isn't falling to the on position, making sure it's labelled here, as you can see, for the ECV. Although you probably do want a bit of a tape a bit closer. Got the emergency number and everything on the meter. Earth bonders within 600mm, pipe work's all clipped. Make sure we don't have a double anaconda, which we don't. You can see here, this is quite typical of Hastings and the old buildings where I am, that a lot of these meters are sort of in the basement with moisture dripping on them. So this one's not too bad, but some obviously are pretty much rusted through, and we've got to call the emergency service out, but it's looking all good. So I use the Reagan Premier gauge. Don't genuinely use the digital gauges when I'm doing tightness tests and let-by tests. So far everything's looking spot on. Okay, so I've just finished that first landlord's gas safety check. Notable things to mention are the clearance from the bottom of the boiler to the worktop was with less than 200mm. That sort of stuff doesn't really faze me. I'll note it down on the gas safety report, but as long as I can service it and check it, you know, I'm not going to start making a fuss about it. Being mainly an installer, I can understand sometimes the boiler's got to go where it's got to go. So yeah, I do have a bit of sympathy with stuff like that. Condense pipe was undersized, not insulated, just dripping on the floor, and also the fact it's on a plug top off of a extension lead. So I had to cut that a little bit short because the customer started talking to me, and he actually told me that he used to work for Valent and he was a technical supervisor there. So yeah, it was had quite an interesting conversation with him actually, and then the pressure started coming on because he could see that I was filming, and obviously I wanted to make sure I was doing a good job, so I switched the camera off and just carried on really. So anyway, yeah, on to the next one. So the next one I'm pretty sure is a brand new glow.worm, so it should be nice and straightforward. Finished that one a little bit late, so yeah, I need to get moving on. Okay, so we're at the second job of the day, and this is a new glow.worm. It's only 1 year old, combi boiler for its first year service, so there won't be too much involved. It's got the filter on it, and it's got the ESI programmer. I'm a big fan of these actually, they're really good. So yeah, let's get this one taken apart and make sure it's okay. Typical fashion with gas meters, it's tons behind it. Okay, so I'm just about to clean this magnetic filter, and this would have come with the boiler, so it's the same brand. It's got one isolation valve on it, frustratingly, which is underneath, which I have isolated. But also, you need to make sure you just shut off the return isolation valve on this. Open up the cap. This here, it's not a quarter turn. You can unwind it to let the water out. You can flush it through from this point, but really you need to take this off and clean the filter and the magnet. Okay, so I'm just doing the tightness test on the gas installation, and before that I just wanted to make sure that the operating and working pressure at the meter was fine. this regulator's getting on a bit. As you can see, there's no flexible anaconda on it, but it was fine, and the installation was within its 1 millibar permissible drop between here and the appliance. So far so good. One thing I have noticed though is looks like a DIYer has plumbed in the hob or piped up the hob. You can always tell when it's a DIY because you've got the PTFE around the compression fittings, which actually restricts its sealing. It seals on the olive, so yeah, you can always tell it's DIY. But you've got the tape on, the pin is missing from the ECV, but I've got a spare one, I'll chuck that in there. But everything else looks okay. Earth bonding's alright. Tightness test at this moment in time looks fine, so yeah, all good. Let by was fine, so yeah, should be a nice easy one. Okay, so onto the hob, and one thing I've noticed is this doesn't have any flame safety devices, so we're in the top floor flat here, so we've got a bit of an issue. This should really have flame safety devices. The issue is this was probably installed before those regulations came into play, so if I just turn that, gas is just pouring out with no need to sort of pre-light or prove there's a flame, so yeah, a bit of an issue on that one. Okay, so I'm back in the van now, and what I found out today is when you're jobbing, getting a camera out is actually not a great idea, because every single customer wants to talk about YouTube, etc., which is fair enough. It's a bit odd when somebody asks you to, or asks your permission if you can film in their house, so I actually had to put it away on the last 2 jobs, but I've quite enjoyed jobbing today. It's not something that I do often these days anymore. Normally I will get Bailey doing the maintenance stuff just so we can learn a bit more the boiler breakdowns, etc., because we do mainly carry out install work. So what I would say though is my last job I had a was it L2 fault on an idealizer. The spark generator had gone, so it's quite a simple fix. I just went and picked one up locally. But have a look at what the customer gave me. So I got 2 ciders, 2 chocolate buns, Jaffa cakes, and a tin of roses.